Is Evil Dead Burn another great entry to the series, or a steaming pile of shit? Let's do a spoiler and hype-free review. What's up, cretins? What's up, creeps? My name is Chris. I'm the only person talking horror on the internet. We're on the road to 10K. Hit the sub. So I know I'm late on this one. It took a bit to digest, but let's talk Evil Dead. My perspective on the franchise as a whole goes like this. I think the original trilogy is outstanding. The 2013 reboot you may catch me arguing as the best in the series. As for the television show, it was perfect for all 3 seasons. Then we get to Evil Dead Rise. It's not unwatchable as much as it is formulaic, limp, and a boring showcase of lost potential. So when the Deadites return in Evil Dead Burn, the 6th feature in the franchise, I'm hopefully optimistic that they're showing up to show out and not showing up to show off. Infested director Sebastian Vanecek is at the helm of Evil Dead Burn, a story of some people mourning the loss of their family member. As they live close to the evil unleashed in the opening sequence to Rise, and that evil is still active, the family must find a Kandarian dagger to stop the evil before it spreads, presumably forming an Evil Dead community that has Evil Dead board meetings, Evil Dead county fairs, Evil Dead pancake breakfasts. Yeah, this isn't gonna go well, so let's bring this up so we can break this down. Evil Dead Burn is one of the sloppiest told films that I've seen in recent years. I think one of the things that we're excited about as fans of the series is having new voices adding to the lore. And where Lee Cronin's biggest problem in Rise was that he presented stakes that he didn't pay off, Sebastian Vanecek never presents stakes. The film begins tying itself to Rise for no reason, and it gives us a scene of character development before promptly offing a character to set the stage for what the film will be. And then it just kinda plods along without any focus or direction for like 48 minutes. Yeah, you'll get some kills, but for fuck's sake, I sat there for 10 minutes looking at the crematory scene, asking how the fuck the family left. Nothing to account for. No one aware of what just happened. Now, to be fair, at that 48-minute mark, you'll get a shot of some muddy shoes, and the film finally picks up. And it finally feels like an Evil Dead film. And it feels that way for a solid half an hour. Vanecek does an incredible job at action sequences until he presents an unfounded, unnecessary finale that has no place in the Evil Dead universe. It feels like it's tacked on half to establish a new icon to the series and half to put on some kind of allegory behind everything. And neither works because you can't raise stakes when you never establish stakes. It's clear that Vanecek's assumption is that people are there for the inventive kills and nothing else. That's Terrifier, that's Friday the 13th, that is not Evil Dead. 6 out of 15. The acting peaks at being fine. I think there's an issue of having very flatly written characters that don't have a ton to do. This is a film that tells you at the jump that it's rooted in grief, and nobody is ever allowed to grieve. The character development that should have happened in the exposition is spent with Vanecek edging himself to get to the next kill scene. Beyond that, a couple of the actors have speech mannerisms that, when converted to Deadite voices, make them sound like your soul. I am sure that everybody showed up on time and were well prepared and is capable of far more, but nobody's getting work off of this other than collecting at conventions from every Evil Dead diehard that wants their Necronomicon signed by everybody who ever appeared in anything Evil Dead. Not shaming that, I'll see you in that same line, 8 out of 15. Yeah, I'm not gonna dwell on screenplay because I've already touched on it, but it's not good. The characters are paper thin and the dialogue is either forgettable or edgelord bullshit. Deadite taunting, which is arguably some of the best and most memorable dialogue in the series as a whole, is completely forgettable in Burn. You don't even get a mommies with the maggots now or whatever in this. Or maybe there were decent taunts and I just couldn't understand them. but everything was either too on the nose or not refined enough to be memorable in any capacity. Long short, there's no soul to take here. It was written without one. 4 out of 15. Right, so I'm late to the party. I'm sure that you've heard that this is brutal and unrelenting and downright cruel. And sure, it is. That doesn't make a film scary, nor do buckets of blood or clever kills, but this is the consequence of trading style for substance in the post-Terrifier 3 world. You scare people by making the audience assimilate with the characters and then putting them through hell. I don't know who these people are. I'm never given a reason to like them, so I never cared about them. Overly disturbing imagery to the point of being try-hard is edgelord bullshit, but I suppose that that's enough to get an objective 4 out of 10. The film's aesthetic has a very strange dichotomy. I loved the snow flurries, and as stated, the action shots are great. It almost feels like Vanacek is shooting a proof of concept to follow Sam Raimi into the MCU. Conversely, it's overly saturated in gray at times, making it look more like 30 Days of Night than Evil Dead. And yeah, overall worst CGI in the series. The final boss or whatever looks like something out of a PS1 game, so for everything that it does right, it fucks something else up. But for everything that it fucks up, it does something right. I guess that's a 5 out of 10, right? As stated, the objectives to Evil Dead Burn are to continue Evil Dead Rise, showcase gnarly kills, and create/reinforce a new icon to represent the series as a whole. The concept of attaching a story is never really addressed. Sorry, but even if you like the film, don't tell me that the stuff in the last 20 minutes was what the preceding 90 minutes were building to. That is why this shit feels dissatisfying, because they don't build to that moment and it makes no sense. Let me clue you guys into something. The first 4 films and the television series are stories built on heroes. Ash, Mia, Kelly, Pablo, these are the characters that the series is based on, and the last 2 largely don't work because the creators are more interested in the Deadites than the people who need to overcome them. Evil Dead does not need an Art the Clown. There is no story in a Deadite-focused movie because they are by definition not the characters, they are the conflict. I can't root for a hero that the storyteller doesn't care about. Had they not tacked the last 20 minutes on, I'd be at maybe a 4 out of 10, but the slap in the face that was the finale is gonna drop the story to like a 2. Sure, the kills are crazy. They're edgelord bullshit, but they look mostly good, and if you're there for the inventive kills, you'll probably be into them. You lose a couple points for bad and unnecessary CGI, but the kills seem to be Vanacek's primary concern, and I guess that he mostly succeeded if that's what he's trying to do. 8 out of 10. My comment on originality would be that it does try to bring new ideas to the franchise, but those are not the new ideas that I think we the fans were asking for. And outside of those new ideas, it spends time trying to emulate things we've already seen or reinforcing that Evil Dead Rise is like this pillar of the series. I'll go middle of the road, 3 out of 5. There was roughly a half hour of this near 2-hour movie that I was interested in. But even that half hour settles at a 3 out of 5 in regards to rewatchability. Having to go through the entirety of it is a chore. And honestly, I look at this and I say, you know what? I'm good with one watch. I'm happy that Wrath is forthcoming. I hope that it changes course to disregard this entire timeline. 1 out of 5. And as for enjoyment, I think that there are interesting choices, but they are not the choices that we were asking for. There's a decent meat to the movie, but it's sandwiched between edgelord bullshit and rehashing of unnecessary things. I will be generous and put it at a 2 out of 5. So overall, these add up to a possible 100 points, and when I chainsaw this off, your Massa score for Evil Dead Burn is 43 out of 100. Undecided on what it wants to be, Evil Dead Burn ends up a misguided effort, too predisposed with not only tethering itself to, but trying to convince the audience that Evil Dead Rise was some sort of legendary effort. The end result is tepid, coming nowhere near browning it, let alone burning it. Kindred Spirits, Evil Dead Rise, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, The Crazies remake. That's all I got for you, cretins. That's going to do it for today, creeps. Do all these things. Let me know if you saw Evil Dead Burn and what you thought of it right over here. And as always, this is all just a matter of opinion. See it yourself, make your own decisions, remain critical, support horror.